able to benefit from AI today? All right. That's only one session. That's only one session. I have you for another one.
Are you enjoying this? Come on, let's give it up for Trevor Jones. And while Trevor is still here, what we're going to do is we're going to be showing some videos and thanking our sponsors. But those in person, we'll start with the table of sponsors. A lot of food up there. Tea, biscuit, wraps, and things like that. This, remember, it's tea break. So please, I'm going to give you 30 minutes. You know, smoke break, tea breaks, SMS, whatever. The time for networking will be when we finish. We want to finish early so that next door we've got some exhibitions so that you guys can spend time together. Is that okay? So when we come back in exactly 30 minutes, we're going to go for a quick commercial. Asif, come up here, my brother. Asif is going to be teaching us and telling us about Microsoft AI TVET University. Did you hear what I just said? We are launching it today on what the heck is this thing here, okay? And how ICANN is going to be involved with your TVET and with your universities and things like that. Then immediately after his presentation, we'll go to part 2. Can we say part 2? Then afterwards, we're just going to be doing a lot of dialogue. Remember, today is tech side. Tomorrow is the softer side on substance abuse, on stress, anxieties, and things like that. So again, let me have a short prayer. God's need, let's eat. Amen. Okay, that's a short prayer. So can I allow the people for tea? Remember, there's a big lunch coming in. So for right now, please eat this table. Please, DG, if you can just lead, have tea. And Sharon, just take them there, yeah. HODs, DDGs, please, if we can go in there. Thank you. Then we'll just follow up. There's a lot of food up there. Please, 30 minutes. We'll be back. We're launching the AI TVET, AI University, and then Trevor will come up, and then we'll have a question and answer session. To those online, please join us in 30 minutes. We will be back.
The world in 2030 future technology. Speaking of 2030, 2/3 of the world's population will be settled in cities. Houses will be more integrated into internet. Foreseeing technological progress will raise human-machine relationship. Looking at technology growth, we can say that the world will be totally ruled over by artificial intelligence. So the future is right in front of your eyes, and it will arrive before you'll even notice. Many high-tech inventions will take their turn to rule. Let's see what possibilities lie in the world's gossip about the future. Number 1. Digital twins. In Star Trek, where large numbers of our thoughts of future innovation sprouted, people can stroll into the medical wings and have their whole body carefully filtered for indications of ailment and injury. The U.S. organization has assembled a scanner that will gauge many biomarkers in around 60 minutes, from chemical levels to the fat structure up in your liver to the markers of irritation or quite a few tumors. It expects to utilize this information to create a 3D computerized symbol of a patient's body, known as an advanced twin, that can be followed over the long haul and refreshed with each new output. It will create more ways of diagnosing and healing patients. Number 2. Artificial eyes. A large number of innovations are coming to reality that will re-establish sight to individuals with various types of vision difficulties and diseases. Specialists at Monash University in Australia are doing a lot of work at trials for a framework by which clients wear a couple of glasses fitted with a camera. This sends information straightforwardly to the embed, which sits on the outer layer of the cerebrum or brain and provides the client with a simple feeling of sight. Number 3. Airports for flying cars and drones. This thought is to eliminate the requirement for numerous vans and individual vehicles on our streets, replacing them with a spotless option of another sort of little airplane from Hyundai or Airbus. Strictly speaking, by 2030, people will own their own personal flying cars, drones, and planes. So, to build airports for them will be necessary. Number 4. Energy storing brick. Scientists are working on energy-storing bricks, which are used to build buildings and other structures. In the upcoming decade, they may succeed. These bricks will be rechargeable within a few hours hundreds of thousands of times. The researchers are said to have developed red bricks as supercapacitors. This invention is in process and might emerge by 2030 as smart bricks that can store energy like a battery. The bricks can be associated with sunlight-powered chargers and store environmentally friendly power. These electrodes have pores in their construction that empowers the storage. Number 5. Alive robots. As AI is rapidly progressing today, it is said that by the next decade, robots will be living as humans on Earth. Specifically, the hybrid robots that are constructed using the stem cells from frog embryos would be swimming in oceans alongside human beings to gather microplastic. Scientists say about them that they're neither a conventional robot nor any known types of creatures. It's another class of relic, a living, programmable life form. Robotics will generally lean toward metal and plastic for their solidarity and strength. However, Levin and his partners see benefits in making robots from organic tissues. At the point when harmed, living robots can mend their injuries, and when their assignment is done, they self-destruct, similarly as regular life forms rot when they pass on. Number 6. Internet accessibility. There will be internet for everyone in the future as we can see the advancement of technology today. As for some areas, internet's facility isn't available, but Google is trying to solve that problem. They have adopted a strategy by dispatching their own organization of shoebox-sized microsatellites into low Earth orbit, which awaken a modem connected to your PC or gadget when it flies over and conveys your information. Their satellites circle the Earth 16 times each day and are being utilized by associations like the British Antarctic Survey to give internet to very remote areas of our planet. Number 7. Speedy chargeable car batteries. Today is the era of autonomous or self-driven cars. So, as far as these electric vehicles are concerned, they will probably need some long-term batteries or engines. The researchers at Penn State University in the U.S. are working on it. The battery plan they have thought of is self-warming, using a thin nickel foil which makes an electrical circuit that warms in under 30 seconds to warm the battery within. The fast cooling that would be required after the battery is charged would be done by using the vehicle's cooling system. Number 8. Smart clothes. Studies show that at the very least 10% of the world will be wearing smart clothes by 2030. The clothes will come up with a chip integrated in them. This chip can be utilized to send the most assorted kinds of data by means of the internet, and you can access it. American apparel brand Tommy Hilfiger has fostered another line of dressing, inserted with little Bluetooth chips that connect to a versatile application and game from the brand that permit wearers to procure rewards as they move among different areas. At the moment, when you wear the material, it will get associated with an application, and the application will urge you to run, play, and do your exercises to acquire rewards. Number 9. Space travel, a virtuality coming to reality. Space tourism, the dream of many, will be coming true as the foreseers say. Almost in 2030, we will be able to travel across space. As space investigation for people is starting, the opportunities space investigation presents to the world will decide its development for people in the future. Many companies are working on it recently, like Blue Origin, SpaceX, and the rest. Space elevators are in the imagination they are researching on. A few researching companies, not many organizations, may test the principal traveler vehicle by 2030, and the primary authority space travel will be presented by 2050. Number 10. Autonomous cars. Self-driving cars are running in large number in the U.S. today, but they aren't very common or very accessible for most people. Berg Insight predicts that the total number of driverless cars on global roads will reach 71 million by the end of 2030. Technological advancement in vehicles will keep them away from the danger of mishaps, energy utilization, protection cost, and ecological impact for staying away from traffic to a large extent. As per this report, The global autonomous vehicles market is relied upon to be at $325.9 billion before the year 2030 is over. In the last 5 to 10 years, we have seen striking leaps forward in technological development. Certainly, technology has advanced into all parts of our personal life just as it has into business. A lot of upcoming thrilling technologies are on the list. Stay tuned for them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's here. It's the defining technology of our time. But it's human ingenuity that makes it so powerful. Jane started losing her vision when she was 12.
California Street.
She uses Seeing AI,
I crept down the stairs.
Crept down the stairs and out the door.
which enables her to read and navigate her world. Microsoft AI is helping farmers adapt to climate change,
We can use technology to help feed the world without wrecking the planet.
enabling wildlife conservation,
The ability to use AI really democratizes science. WildMe uses images from any source to help study endangered species.
and creating new ways for people with hearing loss to communicate.
I want the exact same information that my hearing friends have.
It's more than just imitating intelligence or sounding like a human. Microsoft AI is changing every industry, from healthcare
And now you can see these finite details, the relationship with many structures.
to engineering and telecommunications.
We are using artificial intelligence to change the way we are relating to customers.
AI lets us put people first.
The Microsoft tools really enabled us to breathe digital life into an iconic brand persona.
The product that we make is not a thing in a box.
No.
Microsoft AI empowers others to create experiences and potential. This is just the beginning.
Artificial intelligence, it's just opened up this whole world.
The future we invent is a choice we make.
Team Dimension Data for Quebecer is a registered South African-sponsored cycling team that races in the first division of world cycling. We are Africa's first team. A team that races 280 odd days a year on 5 continents in 22 different countries.
We have an administrative team, we have a medical team, we have a performance team, we have a media and marketing team. So there's really a lot of elements that happen in the background and that feed into what people see on screen.
Having a common platform to communicate with everyone is critical, and a secure environment is key because we are a team that is incredibly diverse. I spend most of my time on conference calls connecting with people that could be in multiple countries. The connection and the collaboration, the calendaring and scheduling is critical to us. So having one platform is important there, and Microsoft really helps us with their Office 365 suite.
So we consider ourselves a technology-based team. We have apps, our riders have devices they use to track themselves all the time. So having that as a tool contributes to already our forward-thinking attitude.
Technology has enabled us to make more informed, better decisions quicker. And organizations like Microsoft, with their credibility, their security, their openness, their ease of working with them and the products that they have, has absolutely enabled Team Dimension Data for Quebecer to move forward.
There are an estimated 90,000 threatened species across the globe. To understand what puts a species at risk, we need to know where are they born, how many survive, where do they go, how far do they go, how do they respond to different conditions. We really do need to learn about every individual animal.
At Wildbook, we are using an algorithm to digitally tag individual animals, much like a human fingerprint.
At Wildbook, anyone with a camera can become a citizen scientist, and anyone uploading animal photos or videos to social media directly contributes to conservation. Microsoft AI gives us the building blocks to analyze public streams of photos and videos and identify individual animals in an instant.
So this is a new whale shark for science.
Yes, and we named it Wilma.
Wilma the whale shark.
AI can determine location, date of sighting, migration patterns, and even an animal's social group. And even if the information is not available, an intelligent agent can contact the contents owner and ask for the missing detail. Microsoft's AI for Good initiative gives us the technology to create a comprehensive view of the planet's biodiversity. In the last 10 years, we've identified 10 times more whale sharks than ever recorded in human history. By leveraging citizen scientists and bringing them together with researchers, we can form conservation policies. Microsoft AI will help us accelerate our work by empowering people to take action. What we get back is, wow, this is amazing.
Uamphalosi Park is a special park. It's known as the birthplace of the rhino. It's from here most of the white rhino populations actually originates. In recent years, organized crime has infiltrated conservation, coming in and poaching rhino. Last year was 769 animals killed. That's over 2 animals a day. Peace Box Foundation, we work together towards a common goal, combating wildlife crime and trafficking within Southern Africa.
If we don't have technology that can support us, I promise you, the rhino will decline. The park's got 96,000 hectares. You cannot identify exactly the direction these people are going to use. Even yesterday, we lose up 2 rhino. That's a problem. So from my heart, I need to make sure that I'm fighting the rhino poaching. If you touch rhino, you touch me.
Rangers want to save rhino. They don't want to be technicians. And that's where we started looking at Azure and the cloud.
What we're looking for is to detect suspicious human activities on the images taken by motion-activated camera traps.
They're just a camera that takes photo as soon as something moves past it. You know, animals moving past, wind blowing grass around. It's taking a lot of photos that you really don't want, and you have to look at each one if you really want to catch someone. The problem with that is obviously that you can only process so many photos every day. What we're able to do with this system is that this photo is processed by a machine learning model and only sends down the relevant photos, which is humans and vehicles.
At Nerve Center, we have a reaction unit team. The reaction unit team will fly straight to that area to make sure we save this rhino.
Before Azure was really not scalable, Microsoft's such a massive contributor to open source. Azure really makes it easy to use Linux operating systems. Everything runs on Azure Functions and on a Postgres database.
We are using Keras-based framework with TensorFlow, SSD, neural network architecture, faster CNN, YOLO v3, and RetinaNet. We used Azure machine learning compute with GPUs. It's very scalable. For our scenario, the latency that the model were giving us were perfect.
It's quite important to know where our data is. Now we can put that in the data centers here in South Africa.
Microsoft, they are really contributing to a cause in South Africa that really makes a massive difference. It's our heritage, these animals. They've been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. We want to keep it that way.
So I'm here with Dr. Raymond Campbell. Dr. Campbell, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for being here. The work you're doing is just so inspiring. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this all came about?
Well, thank you, Satya. Thanks for having me. Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to help people, and it's one of the reasons I became a doctor. But the limitation with that is I can only see so many people in one day. So through technology and partnering with Microsoft, I'm now able to empower thousands of health workers and impact millions of lives every day.
That's amazing. What's there in the backpack?
So in the backpack, I mean, it's a solar-powered connected case with a tablet, Bluetooth-enabled measuring devices, as well as point-of-care blood testing capabilities. And this essentially allows for one to be screened at a very affordable way in their homes, wherever that home is, and literally makes the health worker an agent for change.
So that's amazing. So that means pretty much all of the cutting-edge diagnostic capability can go in this backpack connected to the cloud with the health worker.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. So what's next?
We've deployed quite extensively back home in primary healthcare, mining, and agriculture space. And some of our modules like HIV, pregnant mom, and mental health are amazing. The platform's constantly evolving, so we've now onboarded vision, hearing, as well as X-ray capabilities. And Pulukisa is a disruptive health tech company that is built in Africa to address issues that aren't necessarily unique to Africa alone. These are issues that exist all over the world. So if you were to ask me what's next, I'd like to partner with Microsoft to go solve for these problems wherever it exists in the world.
Absolutely. Affordable healthcare is so key. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Healthcare in South Africa is very challenging. The biggest burden sits in the rural areas. It's a vast country. People have to travel big distances to access the correct care. How do you take a specialist out into a remote area? This is what we do at Pulukisa. Pulukisa means to heal in one of our local languages. We ended up building a cloud-enabled backpack, which tests for 10 most common diseases: HIV, tuberculosis, diabetes, heart disease. In our country, we've got a very, very high maternal mortality rate, of the worst in the world. And these are all things that are super important when you're screening a pregnant woman. The backpack can go on the back of a health worker, so you could literally knock on people's doors and screen them at their homes. The data is collected and uploaded to MySQL database in Azure. Almost immediately, the results are pushed back on Power BI and delivered to the clients, no matter where they are.
Precious came to our clinic as a patient who had a previous miscarriage, and she did not understand what's going on in her body.
On my first miscarriage, I was suffering from high blood pressure. Because of the lack of instruments, no one can help me. My child just died inside of me.
So when she came, we screened her to check all those things on a woman. To get the results will take about a week, but with the backpack, it takes just about 20 minutes.
Everywhere there are people with great ideas around the world. But what's the gathering place where these dreamers get together and have their ideas come to life? Microsoft. It's literally a place where we get to weave the tapestry of the future.
Now I'm 8 months pregnant. My child now, I'm going to call him Blessing. The new technologies is giving us a hope and a new bride. That even our generation, like me, my child, will be healthy. So I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy.
Sometimes the game is won before it even began. I think preparing for a match is as important as playing a match. How can I get better? How can I help my team get better? Try to be consistent every day in your training and in your preparation. Our fans motivate us to work our hardest. It's just the passion they show come game time.
Technology plays a major part in rugby. It changes the way we strategize. We can analyze everything, all the way down to the tackle. The fans out there, they want results. What better way for us winning the World Cup? I want to be a world champion for South Africa and the Springboks.
I'm Saqib Sheikh. I lost my sight when I was 7, and shortly after that I went to a school for the blind, and that's where I was introduced to talking computers, and that really opened up a whole new world of opportunities. I joined Microsoft 10 years ago as a software engineer. I love making things which improve people's lives. And one of the things I've always dreamt of since I was at university was this idea of something that could tell you at any moment what's going on around you.
I think it's a man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
I teamed up with like-minded engineers to make an app which lets you know who and what is around you. It's based on top of the Microsoft Intelligence APIs, which makes it so much easier to make this kind of thing. The app runs on smartphones, but also on the Pivot Head smart glasses. When you're talking to a bigger group, sometimes you can talk and there's no response and you think, is everyone listening really well, or are they half asleep? And you never know.
I see two faces, 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised, 20-year-old woman looking happy.
The app can describe the general age and gender of the people around me and what their emotions are, which is incredible. One of the things that's most useful about the app is the ability to read out text.
Hello, good afternoon. Here's your menu.
Great, thank you. I can use the app on my phone to take a picture of the menu, and it's going to guide me on how to take that correct photo.
Move camera to the bottom right and away from the document.
And then it'll recognize the text. Read me the headings.
I see appetizers, salads, paninis, pizzas, pastas.
Years ago, this was science fiction. I never thought it would be something that you could actually do. But artificial intelligence is improving at an ever faster rate. And I'm really excited to see where we can take this. As engineers, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants, building on top of what went before. And in this case, we've taken years of research from Microsoft Research to pull this off.
I think it's a young girl throwing an orange frisbee in the park.
For me, it's about taking that far-off dream and building it one step at a time. I think this is just the beginning.
When you know that success is yours to have. When love and affection calls you to reconnect. When you're eager to start a new day with the courage to make yourself a priority. When it's time to explore and broaden your horizons. If you live, work or play in Gauteng, the Gautrain commends your ambition, determination and that passion for life and the environment. Gautrain, for people on the move.
It used to be, how do you get data? Now it's all about, what do you do with all this data? So what we're trying to do to address this grand challenge in the face of all of these destabilizing factors in agriculture is to make agriculture more precise and more sustainable.
We can't simply double our acreage to produce this food. What we need to do is develop new crop production strategies based on the cloud and the ability to develop repositories for all this data, right? When we combine all this data, we can develop models.
We need maps of the in-field variation that's going on out there. To do that, we need a tremendous amount of data.
But trying to figure out how to consolidate it has been quite a challenge. Right now, we have to take and manually put the data into a program.
What we would like to build towards is a system that's cloud-based, to where we can bring this information from all of our locations back into a single cloud presence.
This pilot project with Microsoft has us evaluating some of their technology on our research farm. FarmBeats is providing us a mechanism for aggregation, data visualization, and analytics.
The only way we're able to do that is with machine learning and AI now. And we're able to generate those maps and recommend to growers how to alter their production on a piece-by-piece basis across that field. It's automated recommendations that growers can act on is the goal.
If you had that data in a set, then you could start to build scientific stuff into it and figure out what farmers have. Once you got a big enough pool of farmers that are putting their data in, turn it into a common language and then partition that out so that everyone can have their own silo.
I'm not a software developer, and ARS is not really designed to produce software as such. And so identifying products that integrate a lot of our needs and is kind of a one-stop shop that creates standards and allows for the real-time data flow and storage on the cloud allows us to then provide faster data visualization and information to farmers, putting sustainable agriculture in a precision framework so that we can provide the kinds of solutions farmers need and address the constraints they have for maintaining the productivity that we need to feed the world.
Now, if you're a college-going student or just about to enter college or someone who is trying to switch careers, then this report is for you. The latest World Economic Forum report tells us about the hottest jobs in the next 5 years across the world. Continue watching to find out more on our next report.
The world is going through a disruption. Technologies like artificial intelligence and robotics are changing the way businesses operate. Going green is the new mantra, and sustainability seems to be the way forward. But many fear that these disruptions will come at the cost of certain jobs. At a time when mass layoffs are a daily affair, a new report by the World Economic Forum paints a grim jobs outlook. In the next 5 years, employers around the world expect a net loss of 14 million jobs. So while 69 million jobs will be added in the next 5 years, 83 million will be eliminated in the same period. But the 14 million job losses proposed by the report are more complex than you may think. Trends like green transition and the adoption of big data, cloud computing, and AI are likely to see a positive growth in the future. But that is obviously after some disruptions in the labor market. So what are the top jobs? Electric vehicle specialists are going to be the stars of the job market in the next few years, followed by AI and machine learning specialists and environment protection professionals. Sustainability specialists, fintech, and data analysts are also likely to shine in the next 5 years. But here's a surprise too. It's not just big tech and green jobs that will be in demand. Heavy truck and bus drivers, vocational education teachers, mechanics, and machinery repairers will also be in high demand. But the future may well belong to green jobs, says the report. Green jobs may end up helping not just the environment but also the economy. Green jobs are likely to add 30 million jobs by 2030 and also add 3.5% to the global economy. Now you know which job will help you stay ahead in the job market. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The world in 2030 future technology. Speaking of 2030, 2/3 of the world's population will be settled in cities. Houses will be more integrated into internet. Foreseeing technological progress will raise human-machine relationship. Looking at technology growth, we can say that the world will be totally ruled over by artificial intelligence. So the future is right in front of your eyes, and it will arrive before you'll even notice. Many high-tech inventions will take their turn to rule. Let's see what possibilities lie in the world's gossip about the future. Number 1. Digital twins. In Star Trek, where large numbers of our thoughts of future innovation sprouted, people can stroll into the medical wings and have their whole body carefully filtered for indications of ailment and injury. The U.S. organization has assembled a scanner that will gauge many biomarkers in around 60 minutes, from chemical levels to the fat structure up in your liver to the markers of irritation or quite a few tumors. It expects to utilize this information to create a 3D computerized symbol of a patient's body, known as an advanced twin, that can be followed over the long haul and refreshed with each new output. It will create more ways of diagnosing and healing patients. Number 2. Artificial eyes. A large number of innovations are coming to reality that will re-establish sight to individuals with various types of vision difficulties and diseases. Specialists at Monash University in Australia are doing a lot of work at trials for a framework by which clients wear a couple of glasses fitted with a camera. This sends information straightforwardly to the embed, which sits on the outer layer of the cerebrum or brain and provides the client with a simple feeling of sight. Number 3. Airports for flying cars and drones. This thought is to eliminate the requirement for numerous vans and individual vehicles on our streets, replacing them with a spotless option of another sort of little airplane from Hyundai or Airbus. Strictly speaking, by 2030, people will own their own personal flying cars, drones, and planes. So, to build airports for them will be necessary. Number 4. Energy storing brick. Scientists are working on energy storing bricks, which are used to build buildings and other structures. In the upcoming decade, they may succeed. These bricks will be rechargeable within a few hours hundreds of thousands of times. The researchers are said to have developed red bricks as supercapacitors. This invention is in process and might emerge by 2030 as smart bricks that can store energy like a battery. The bricks can be associated with sunlight-powered chargers and store environmentally friendly power. These electrodes have pores in their construction that empowers the storage. Number 5. Alive robots. As AI is rapidly progressing today, it is said that by the next decade, robots will be living as humans on Earth. Specifically, the hybrid robots that are constructed using the stem cells from frog embryos would be swimming in oceans alongside human beings to gather microplastic. Scientists say about them that they're neither a conventional robot nor any known types of creatures. It's another class of relic, a living, programmable life form. Robotics will generally lean toward metal and plastic for their solidarity and strength. However, Levin and his partners see benefits in making robots from organic tissues. At the point when harmed, living robots can mend their injuries, and when their assignment is done, they self-destruct, similarly as regular life forms rot when they pass on. Number 6. Internet accessibility. There will be internet for everyone in the future as we can see the advancement of technology today. As for some areas, internet's facility isn't available, but Google is trying to solve that problem. They have adopted a strategy by dispatching their own organization of shoebox-sized microsatellites into low Earth orbit, which awaken a modem connected to your PC or gadget when it flies over and conveys your information.
Have you noticed that? We're online. Have you noticed that? Welcome to all of you online, virtual delegates. And then again, I know most of you are now, everybody's in there. They're looking forward to your presentation, Asif. So without a waste of time, the NTO of Microsoft Africa, our brother, Asif.
Thank you so much, David. I mean, going after the DG, you, Trevor, I mean, this is big shoes to fill, right? No, I thoroughly enjoyed your talk, DG. It was enlightening. It's glad to see that there's so many similarities from what I know and understand about the challenges that you have that you've actually shared. And those are the things that we work towards solving on a day-to-day basis. And we can talk endlessly about that. But what I want to talk about today is when we designed this discussion with David, we spoke about, let's talk about the theory, but let's also try and make it real, right? And real meaning, what do we do after this? You know, when we walk away from here, we must do something. And we can't keep talking about things. And from everything I've heard from the DG, you know, he's about action, right? It's not so much about just talk and theory. So hopefully today, this session that I'm going to talk about really talks through to what the TVETs can do when you walk away from today's session, is how do you take this technology and really try to distill it within your organization, but more importantly, how do we start to teach AI to the youth that we are so wanting and needing to empower, which is really what this is about. So we designed this, what we call a post-grad program or a third income stream program or a short learning program. You know, when I talk to universities, TVET colleges, everybody calls it different things within your organizations. But ideally, what this university program or the AI engineer program, when we conceptualized it about 3 years ago, was about AI is not just about a one-week course that we are going to be offering to people. Because if you heard everything that Trevor said and everything you heard from Andrea, this is a complex space that we're talking about. And it's such an important place that when we talk about responsible AI, we talk about developing the technologies, removing the biases, and making sure that we maintain the ethics and the guardrails that we're supposed to be working by. So for me, AI is not just about a topic of any other sort of technology, but a much more collection of stuff that becomes a much more complex way of how we're going to be doing things in the future. So as I said, my name is Asivelli. I've put up my email address there, so please feel free to email me, contact me if you have any questions after today's session. But more importantly, you know, we want you to join us on this journey, so hopefully we'll hear from you as we go through the discussion. So the Microsoft AI University program was designed specifically in mind with working with TVETs and universities. So we have many training partners. You saw our training partner NetCampus here today. We have many training partners or training providers of Microsoft training technology on our technologies. But those are typically your 1 week, 1 month type training course. AI is not that technology. When we look at AI, it's deep skills, as I said, to start with. And we need to bring together a number of things. And in the next slides, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because technology is one small aspect of the AI, of the whole program that we're talking about. So we wanted to bring together a partnership with university and TVET that spans longer than 1 week. We wanted to develop a 1-year curriculum or 1-year program that could create sustainability and depth of skill. And we learned this from a program that we've been piloting for many years called the App Factory. Now, the App Factory was designed out of or kind of thought up out of the idea that when we saw software developers come out of university and we put them into the workplace, they failed hopelessly because they did not have the experience. They did not have the practical hands-on work that was needed. So we developed this thing called App Factory, and that's where we brought in a lot of students out of universities, and we bridged them through this 9-month program or even 1-year program where we provided them with the skills that they needed. And those skills weren't the theoretical skills. These were the practical hands-on skills. So we've taken that methodology and brought that into the AI program. So we blended it with a combination of theoretical and practical skilling. So this is why this program is the partnership between universities and us makes perfect sense to be able to offer that training. The technology obviously is everything that you heard from Trevor and what you know about it. So it's going to be your machine learning, deep skills, or deep learning, all of the things that we have as a collective of technologies today with the latest technologies around generative AI, large language models. So all of that has to be there. That's going to be part of the technology skilling that we're going to do. But the way we're going to offer it is obviously slightly different. So it's going to be a blended way of learning, right? So we got the theory, we got the practical, we got the online learning, but then also it must culminate into some kind of industry certification, which in this case will be the Microsoft certification. So by the time the students walk out of a program like this from your TVET colleges, they're going to be able to walk into a job straight away. And that was, again, proven through our pilots that we ran at the App Factory, which we had almost a 98% employment rate of people that as they completed the one-year program with us, they walked into jobs, which was the important part, to be able to prove that they are work-ready and capable from the day they start. So that's the part of the certifications that I think so we must not leave behind. We should never let people walk out of these kind of programs without the right level of certifications, whether it's certification at the university level or a certification at a school, at an industry level, which is what we bring together. So we're not going to talk about market opportunity because obviously it's a big market opportunity. You heard earlier from Andrea talk about the AI space being a $1.5 trillion, and that's just in Africa. When we started these stats earlier, it was about $8 trillion, and that's continuing to grow. So it's kind of outdated. Every time I update this chart, I got to update it again because it's outdated. So we all know that the opportunity for AI is big, and the reason is why. Why is AI big? Because the technology is actually pervasive across every industry. Whether we talk about education, we talk about manufacturing, we talk about medical or healthcare, every industry is being impacted by AI. And hopefully that will be a positive thing as we go forward. So when we designed the program, we wanted to obviously make sure that, we all talk about a student-centered program, a program that's defined and designed around how the student thinks and how the student works. Now, today, I guess, as educational institutions, we're all challenged, and not just in South Africa, but around the world, what is transformative or transformation that's taking place. So the earlier question from the audience was around, how do we when we talk about things like ChatGPT or Copilot, how do we keep up with students being able to use that information? It's not so much about that anymore. You can go back to so many examples in history. Andrea spoke about the printing press as an example. If you stop innovation from happening, that's when you actually impede where we're going. We got to embrace the innovation and work towards helping solve the problems that it brings. So by putting policies in place, putting the guardrails in place, and being able to educate our people on how we use the technology. But stopping it is maybe not the one way that we need to be doing. There may be some things that we need to do that, but not everything. In this case, I think so, with students going online and using the technology to actually help them and assist them, in a way we need to be able to teach them how to better use it. Or do we need to stop it? That's the questions that we all face today. But the general populist thinking is we need to basically continue the transformation as they continue their journey as well. So we start with students, for this kind of program, again, we want to ensure success. So we don't want to ensure that we put students into programs that's going to fail. This program is designed to be a high-level, kind of top-of-the-line degree or qualification that we're coming out. So we're not talking about the fundamentals here of AI. We're talking about the AI engineer. We want somebody to come out of that as deep-rooted, the person that will be able to step into global jobs and be able to be the global player or the global citizen of South Africa. Somebody that will be able to develop IP for South Africa. So these are the kind of engineers that we are trying to develop ultimately, not just the knowledge worker or the economy worker, but really somebody that can contribute positively to us. So the AI engineer program is meant to be that kind of program in conceptual, right? So we want to be able to bring people in that have the right capacity and capability, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on in terms of the type of basic qualifications they should have as an idea. But remember, this is not fundamentals, right? We do have a fundamentals program if you're interested, and we think that is content that you should have within your curriculum, infused in your curriculum every day, because we want everybody to understand what AI is, like we are talking about here today. But this here is an engineering program. Multi-tiered collaboration. So it's not just about, as I said, training, because they could do a lot of training at university. We'll do some training in terms of content, but it's more moving from teaching to mentoring and coaching the students. And the reason for that is you'll see we move towards more hands-on practical training across the technologies as opposed to just the training part, which is why we want the facilitators to also be good mentors and coaches in terms of helping the students during the course to be able to cope and help them define the projects as they go forward. And as I said, it's about the theory and experiential learning as opposed to just the theory, right? So that's the important part of it. And then applying, obviously, the relevant AI engineer training to the student. So this is a quick overview of the program. And as I mentioned, what is the real crux behind the partnership with educational institutions, right? So we have the technology on the right-hand side. And the technology is really the stuff that we spoke about, that Trevor spoke about, that we all understand, that is contained within the AI space. So these are all the tools and capabilities that you get exposed to. But the three other areas on the left are equally, on your right, equally important. And those are basically culture. So I'll start in that middle one, culture. So this is a changing technology, as we all seem to be a little concerned about it, a little bit skeptical about it. Culture is an important part of transforming what we're doing here today as AI. So we want to be able to partner with colleges, universities, TVETs, to be able to educate on the culture part. So bringing in your HR teams, bringing in your social kind of teams to be able to train the students on this culture piece of how to transform within organizations, how to do things like change management. These are all the important components that we need to make a good AI engineer. Not typical of your typical courses, but this is what we think is needed today. The other one on the left, your left, is strategy. So again, when you define what we're doing here today is really innovative, right? So these students are going to have to work in environments that are innovative. Now think about walking into an organization that does not really have, or not started to think about that. How does somebody bring that thinking to the organization? So again, we need your AI engineer to be more capable, other than just being the techie, but also help with strategy in the organization. So we're looking for this all-rounded person. And then the third part is the responsible AI piece. We want this person to be able to develop responsibly. So we want to be able to bring into the classroom, we want to bring your legal faculty into the classroom to be able to teach them this thing about legal or responsible AI, and how to build the guardrails, and how to understand law, and how to understand the legal implications of the work that they're going to be doing. So this is why the partnership will bring the technology, but the partnership with institutions like higher learning will bring the rest of the components, which is why this makes such a beautiful partnership, we think, to be able to deliver what we need to as part of this all-rounded AI engineer. So we're building real skill and real capability. Andrea already shared the 6 principles that we do around responsible AI, and this is just for your sharing. Obviously, it's around fairness, the inclusiveness, transparency, and so on. But these are important principles that we will dispel or disperse to you and share with you as we go through the discussions at TVET College. And these things will continue to evolve. And even when Andrea put up some of the stuff there I haven't even seen, because these are some of the latest foundational stuff that we're putting around frameworks, which we've just released now. And as she talks about the white paper that we're busy developing, which will help to be able to share that further. So we'll continue to evolve in the space of frameworks, in the place of guidelines, to partner with you to be able to ensure that by the time the student comes out of the university, they have all of these guiding principles in which to guide them. So this is the tech part, right? So the learning parts, obviously, when the student starts a program like this, when we talk about the training parts, is we need to start with kind of the fundamentals. And again, this is a great part around partnering with universities and TVETs, because a lot of the theoretical or the intro fundamental stuff they already do. So networking fundamentals, programming, those are done at university already, right? But when students come into a program like this, and they've not done that, because we're talking about, when we set the criteria, we said, people coming out of engineering faculties, it's maths and science, stats 1 and 2, those are kind of the characteristics or qualities and courses they would have had to have done in order to enter into a program like this here. But today we have Salvato asking us to come and launch the AI engineer program there. Why? Because doctors are highly impacted by AI. Okay? They want to know how do they apply the use of this technology. And in fact, there are a few doctors that I'm working with today that are already in their practices or working with other organizations like MediClinic and so on, already setting up innovation centers around AI on how to solve some of the health problems. And in specific, this one doctor is on diabetes care. How does he use AI to better manage the healthcare of his patients? So developing the solutions around that. So doctors are interested in embracing the use of AI in their practices, okay? So as I said in the beginning, it's touching every industry, every faculty, every sort of sciences out there today is looking at AI to be able to solve something or the other. So we start with the introductions, right? So people that may not be technical ready, you will have to introduce some of these basic courses into it. What we offer you is the core of the AI Engineer Associate Program, which covers, again, all of the technologies, which I'm not going to keep repeating, and then culminate into the certification. So we bring this piece to you as a TVET, as a partnership that we will bring to you. And then, as I mentioned, the theory part is only 3 months. We envisage no more than 3 months in theory. The rest of the time is spent on this thing called the apprenticeship or the skills lab. And this is where we bring in projects. So as TVETs, you have partnerships with industry. You can bring in projects from industry to be able to give students real live experience on working on projects. But also within the TVET, you can actually solve a lot of your own problems by giving projects to the students in the classroom to be able to solve some of those using AI. So the use cases are far more than just industry. It can exist within your own industries as well. So bring in the projects, give the students the projects, and start to monitor them as they work through that. And at the end of it, obviously, create the job readiness, work readiness as part of the program to ensure that by the time they leave your facilities, your institutions, they have jobs ready for that. So the last part was the certification, as I mentioned. So industry certification is important because this is how industry relates to the skills and capability that students have that come out. Now think about, whether it's Microsoft or AWS or any sort of other technology out there. If you think about the use cases and how many organizations are using their technologies, you'll then start to understand the opportunity for students out there. Now, I can say almost every customer in the world today uses some kind of Microsoft technology. And if you think about then the opportunity for those employees to employ these people, that industry certification that I speak about becomes easily recognizable when they step into the workplace, which is why we advocate for them to actually do the certification at the end of it. So when we look at the course timeline, and this is the beauty of these type of courses, right? So we know GDE, the DOE or higher education have strict programs around how they structure curriculum and so on, which is why we define this as a short learning program, because it gives the institutions the ability to go a little outside of their fixed curriculum. So it sits as a separate program, as a standalone program for one reason and one reason only, is to be able to dynamically change as the technology changes, as we advance the technology. So today we talk about generative AI, large language models. This came out 2 years ago. Now, if you were stuck in a very rigorous kind of curriculum, you'd not be able to make that dynamic change. So we see that as a typical approach to it. But this course timeline looks at the same thing. So you can run a course like this as a part-time course. You could run it as a full-time course within your university. You can run it as a 6-month course, as an 18-month course. And the reason for those differences depending on the cohorts that are coming in. So if you have students that are highly capable, that you don't need to do a lot of the fundamental stuff on, you could run a 6-month program full-time. Or you could bring industry in. You could invite industry into a short course. Because as much as we talk about youth and unemployment, there's also a lot of people that are in employment that need to transform as well. So we don't often think about those guys, but those guys also need to have transformation, right? And they need some way of being able to do this in a sustainable way. Again, universities and educational institutions, TVETs, provide that long-term type education, where they are obviously have come through your organizations. We're now able to take them on the next journey that they have. So it becomes a great source of income for the universities and TVET colleges, but also it helps you to kind of create the critical mass that we need in order to develop going further. So a course like this here can be, as I said, this is a typical timeline, 3 months of intense training because we're doing the tech part, and then the most of the part of the time is spent on the skills lab, being able to get them to teach them the foundational stuff of practicing what they're learning. And that we think is the most important part as part of a program like this. So very much how universities train today, we think that this model works again. So I mentioned the prerequisite, and I'm putting this up not because we're talking about it specifically here, but we want to ensure success. So, universities and TVETs already use criteria to assess people as they come into the programs. Very similar thing. We want to ensure that we don't set up the students for failure. And when we did the pilots about 2 years ago, we realized that we needed to apply this more rigorously. So you need to think about that in terms of whether and how you allow students into your program, whether they have the fundamentals right before you open up a program like this for the students. So here's kind of the roles and responsibilities. So if you're looking to launch a program like this at your university, we want to make sure that we are there to support you as part of the journey. So we're going to be able to provide you with content. So we'll provide you with the technical content, and we keep that updated on a regular basis. We'll be able to provide you with implementation guidelines on how you can implement a program like this. And obviously, the marketing stuff, I think so we do that already quite well as Microsoft. But we'll continue to help you create the awareness of it, which I think is an important part, but also link it to your kind of capabilities and where you're going as an organization. On the right-hand side from a university, you have all the dynamics to be able to run a program like this here. You understand how to run short courses already. And there's obviously some associated things which you need to do, like train your facilitators to be AI engineers, to be able to train and deliver the training in the classroom. So that's going to be an important criteria for your faculty members to be certified on the technology. So that's the one thing that you need to do. Fortunately, it's all self-paced. So they don't have to take time out of or valuable time out of the classroom to be able to train on this stuff. They can do it online by their own and then do the certification. So it's quite a quick process for them to actually get going. And then there's obviously some associated cost which you need to factor for, which is minimal compared to the value that actually comes out of it. So those are some of the dynamics that you need to be able to offer is the environment. So what I understand, TVET colleges have already labs, which makes it great environment for these students to actually go in and do the work in those environments that you have there. So great opportunity. So as I said, we started this program, or we piloted this program about 3 years ago with CUT, the Central University of Technology in the Free State. Professor Ngowi was, in my view, very progressive at the time. We spoke at a Free State Innovation Week or something. I forget the name of the conference that he was hosting together with the province. And he called us and said, look, we want to partner with you guys on a program that will and this is how we culminated this program together with other things. And he became the first pilot that we did, which was at the CUT Free State. And we delivered the program there. And obviously the program had its stops and starts for various reasons because of a new program. And they'll continue to work that program and they'll relaunch this year. But we also trained a number of TVET colleges at the time. And this training was basically training the faculty. So we trained at least 2 people from each of the TVET colleges or each of the universities and colleges on that list there about 2 years ago to be AI engineers. Now, we obviously expect some of those people would have changed over time, but we're really keen to get this going now at scale. As you heard from David, we really want to get this program launched within the TVETs in a big way now, and we're going to be able to provide you the right level of support. But the good starting point is we're not starting from zero anymore. Okay, so we have some background, we have some contacts, we have some people skilled up. It's about a matter of finalizing the programs within each institution, getting the business plans ready, submitting them, getting your approvals, and then obviously getting ready to launch. So working through basically how you launch a short program within your institution. So we have a number of them already trained up and that we have a good starting point. So these were some of the references at the time. As I said, CUT, LaunchDesk, KLM, Edgivos, and as I said, we've been talking to a lot of institutions to now to get them to certain points. So the ones in yellow on the previous charts but are ready to launch already their programs. So again, so we have some momentum and some knowledge around how we need to be successful. So I just put a quick next steps together. So the next steps is contact me when you're ready to launch or to kind of get on the journey or get on the discussion, even if it's just a matter of clarifying any concerns you have, clarifying what needs to be done, or clarifying what you need to do, what is your role and responsibility, what is our role and responsibility, and getting down to the detail of it. Please feel free to contact me. As I said, you need a lead person. Everything needs a lead person. Otherwise, I find that as I spoke to this gentleman over here in front, sorry, I forgot the name. Institutions have silos, and they do such a great job of protecting their environments that you struggle to break out of it when you get in there. So we do need a lead person at an institutional level that will take on the role of owning a program like this, because it's it doesn't necessarily sit in engineering or in data science or in even accounting, by the way. We have lots of interest from accounting to say, how do we use AI? Because some of them are concerned about how this disruptive technology is going to make them irrelevant, but most of the more progressive ones want to see how they can use it to make it work for them, right? So that's a great part of it. So the idea is being able to bring together, leaders like here in this room to be able to kind of start at that level and then bring it down the next level. Because once we start there, we tend to get stuck at the bottom and we never seem to be able to progress it. And that's a problem with programs. Let's call it a program for the minute. But when you start to rise it up and you start to understand the impact it can have, then you start to understand why it needs to be discussed at this level. So hopefully, you take that away with you. So as I said, you need to train a minimum of 2 facilitators and have them certified so that we can actually, have reliable people that understand the technology, but more important, reliable from keeping the content updated, keeping the knowledge updated. And then obviously, any internal plans that you need to run, we will support you on those discussions as well to make sure that you can get through the process on that. So I'm going to leave it there, David.
Brother Asif, a wonderful round of
Thank
applause.
you.
Come sit here, my brother. If you can come and sit right here. Thank you. Ed, we'll give the DG a quick word because his transport is here. He needs to be flying out. And again, thanks so much for your time, and to your team. Viva! I'm sorry, I can't say that to your team. It's Government of National Unity. Long live, something like that. Asif, thank you so very much. People don't know this. Arnold is our IT guy. Was it 2-3 years ago? I was actually the spokesperson for Microsoft AI, did some stuff there. 3 questions for me. DG will speak, and then we'll still open to the other people. Question number 1 online. Arnold, if you can put that thing for the certificate, that whole 9-month program. The people want to find out, because as you know, we work with thousands of unemployed graduates, as I can. So is there a course before they get into TVET or university? Because they are so-called the unemployed, what DG spoke about. That's question number 1. Number 2, a lot of our top people, and I believe in this, everything rises and falls on leadership. They themselves, like Toffler said, we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Can we, the unemployed graduate, because we want to use them to be the facilitators, because sometimes the faculty members are busy or whatever, but now here we've got this gold. NSFAS put lots of money. We need to make sure these young people get involved in a fundamental thing, even if it's just an awareness. Out of that, Zulu, through psychometric tests, then with Microsoft, we can get some of those that we can now take them through a process. 2, the BBT, Born Before Technologies. Can we either be like a full day, half-day course? We were in Namibia because all the CEOs across mining, whatever, they want to just have an idea of what this thing is all about. Then some of them can then go online to get into this, 1-year program. The third one, TVET, because you mentioned that degree. So for the TVET level, which is fortunately today, 90% of the people here at TVET. We do have some universities here, DUT here, TUT, and all of the other stuff. 3 questions quickly on those, and then we will give the last words for this session. Still, you and I will stay and then allow people to ask questions. Go ahead.
Great. Look, I mean, I think so. It's one question for me. So the one question is, how do we provide or enable youth to access technology or technology skilling? So we've done a lot of work in this space in 2 areas. One is in terms of literacy, digital literacy. So we have a platform called Mzansi Learning, which provides access to youth around digital learning or digital literacy learning. And the second one is called Microsoft Learn, which provides technology or technology skilling to more advanced users. So everything from the fundamentals up is available to youth on those platforms. So we have got a good track record, but we also started even before, maybe in between digital literacy and advanced kind of learning, there was a gap in there. And we developed a partnership with the Youth Employment Service, and we've developed a module with that campus called AI for Youth to address exactly your question. How does youth get on board with AI? Not necessarily in the technical side, but similar to what we've done here, is provide that kind of skills gap. So we have a module available today to be able to address that. And then obviously this module that we are sharing here today, AI for Leadership, is again distilling the knowledge of AI without the technical components. And I think Trevor did quite a good job of that today. And so these are the 2 things that we have, which is bespoke to South Africa, which is very South African, because in the world they only have the top end and the bottom end. We decided to develop the middle end because we saw a gap in the market for that. But the digital literacy part literally is available to everybody. Today we have a data-free agreement with Vodacom. So anybody even that has a Vodacom kind of SIM can access all of the training content that we have on there for free, just to make it more accessible for the youth.
DG, so we have been in discussion with Microsoft, as I said, from upfront, from the beginning, that we work with them and they will be empowering us with the unemployed graduates and the youth at risk, and obviously still on our leadership program. So the programs are already there. The challenge then is for us to begin to market so that people will know. And some of the faith-based organizations, because we've got churches and mosques and temples sitting doing absolutely nothing. So we now have signed MOAs to use them. The Gauteng Department of Education is here. Through the Premier, will now be able to use some of these classrooms after hours. TUT is here. This week will be at DUT, so we're excited about that. But I'm going to give you the last words because I know your transport. Just to say something before you leave us. Then we'll open to the other people, the questions.
Thank you very much, Program Director. May I take this opportunity to congratulate you, sir, for the fantastic presentation. I think it speaks to all of us in education. Clearly, from where I am sitting, from program design that you have presented, almost flawless. But the test of all of our innovations is always going to be about how inclusive the programs are. If we innovate, but it still is not open, if I can borrow from the Freedom Charter, opening the doors of learning and culture for all. What I think that means is that as we do this, we look for opportunities to identify those sitting in the margins, the unemployed graduates from TVET colleges, from universities, create bridges for them to be able to transition from graduating from programs that will permanently make them unemployable. And still, even if you were to absorb them, they might not be able to cope without bridging programs to allow them to participate onwards. So I think it's important to profile the type of a student that we want, identify them, locate them where we are. But at the same time, do not forget that South Africa also do have bright students who are the future of our country in terms of creativity and innovation and others. Recently we developed a program, this might interest you, a program for soft skills. We thought we were doing this for NQF level 5 level, like all South Africans to do it, young and old. Because as you know, soft skills is like your bridge to leapfrog, and advance to other levels. All of a sudden, the United Nations is interested in the program, and they've taken it over now. It has now become a UN program. Before we even roll it out in South Africa, largely because of the principles I've cited. So my proposal will be to run with it, just check it, check how it is structured, because I think we must aim at going beyond just our local, needs, to also think about global, responsibility of our country. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think there's a lot to be said about this, most of it good, but let's remember the underdog.
DG, we want to say Re a leboga. Thank you so very much. I know that your team is ready to escort you, but again, this is the beginning, we'll continue, and thanks again for your time. Arshapeleng DG Warna Matsogo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me give you a hug, then I'll have to be going up there. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's now open. Jabza, can we have other people questions? Yeah. And then in the meantime, let me just take the DG out quickly. Can you have this one smooth? Feel free, guys, to ask any questions at this time.
Good morning to the House. I would like to also say I'm one of the in-touched or enhanced students through the Microsoft Free Course via LinkedIn. I have developed the course over a week, and then I obtained a certificate. And also to pose a question, I would like to know, after this course, I have enhanced the skills, but can you please clarify, according to the journey of employment platform, since we are now brought to this fast rapid change, what I know, I will need to update, since it's a Microsoft skill that is always being updated. But what are the journeys of employment from where I have the skill, I have the certificate that I have now? What are the platforms that you might advise me to locate? Secondly, according to the programs that are given to us as maybe the partnership that you have raised, which is a good initiative, but according to the steps and guidelines, are you collaborated with NSFAS according to funding? Since we know the most challenge to enhance skills, most people have to say it's the funds. So what is the capital? And yeah, I think those are my two questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for the questions. So one is obviously you need to keep your skills updated all the time. The technology will always move. And if you want to remain employable, obviously that's the opportunity that you have, is a skills path that you've started for yourself. And obviously a lot of that is available to you online. So, there's no real cost for you to actually continue the skilling piece. So that's the first piece. But the second piece around the funding piece of running a program like this here, that's really left to the institution. So obviously, because this is a short learning program or a third income stream program, the universities or TVETs will actually be charging for a program like this, which doesn't fit under the NSFAS program. I think the NSFAS program caters for a very different set of audience, which is kind of your undergraduate studies. But things like postgraduates, I'm not sure that NSFAS will cover that, and let alone a third income stream program. So this will be something separate to the university. And funding for universities, they would raise this kind of funding from industry, from programs that are run within industries, as well as the SETAs. The SETAs have a huge interest in these type of skills usually. So they would typically apply to the SETAs for that type of funding. That would be kind of my thoughts around the funding pieces that happens. From a job perspective, typically we find that the employment rate of students that we're training either in a data science, AI engineer, even cloud computing skills, we typically give our partners that do the training a target of around 75 to 80%. They must ensure secure employment. And to date, all I can give you is the history, is that to date they've not failed at getting employment because of the demand for these skills. So most of the skills that we are developing, like the AI engineer program, there's a high demand for these skills to start with. So there's never lack of employment. But typically, I would say that, you know, if where do you put your skills? Where do tech companies, where do organizations look for tech skills? Is typically on places like LinkedIn. So, you know, have your profile on social media platforms. That's typically where they're going to find you and find the resources that they're looking to employ. Thanks.
A particular bank sent us an email 2-3 months ago. They are looking for 10,000 young people. We can't find them. Cybersecurity, AI, you know, we can't find the young people there. So now we're going to be adding these kind of things because they are prepared. There are some corporates who are prepared to even fund their students to go through a program on one condition, that for a year they can then go back and quote unquote pay back, you know, that 1 year thing. So we're going to be talking about that. 2-3 more questions before Brother Trevor does part 2. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to, you know, check, because this is a program that has a lot of technical modules in it, especially that it taps on also on innovations. So I would like also to check if maybe we cannot, as we cannot even include the psychometrics, so that at least we try and profile those learners that we are talking here about, people that have been out of jobs for a longer time, of which some of them, they have some other things going on mentally. And if then to assist them, you know, move over through to that, then we just put an element of psychometrics. And also, also looking at the psychology of AI into this whole thing, so that at least we are able to move in and put through a lot of students that will, in that specific time of learning, will be able to do extremely well as they are wired to. The last thing that I would like to ask, this is a skill that we need to develop. And is it possible that it could be developed probably from high school level, maybe FET, so that at least when they get out of there, even before they go and do those other entry requirements, they have an idea of what is going on. Thank you so much.
Let me answer the first two. This is Dr. Nomvula. She's one of our speakers tomorrow. She's a psychologist. That's why you hear the first thing, psychometric, you know. So number two, she also owns her own private schools, just like Dr. Naika has got his own TVET colleges. That's what the discussion is all about. Because like I said, and people joke, you know, our Minister Gayton used to be the ICANN facilitator in prison. Because if these young men and women in prison can steal your BMW and they're never certified by BMW or whatever, you know, it shows that the skill is there. We just need to harness that skill. So yes, as part of the fundamentals one, we can develop and design. And for the TVET colleges, universities, you saw the presentation here. After the 3 months, this skills lab, the experiential learning must be filled with certain skills and things like that. So surely remember, they are just saying this is our model, but we can co-create. Each and every university has got its own needs. Each and every TVET college has got its own needs. Private companies like us, organization, have got our own needs and interests. So I think the flexibility is there, but what he's saying is, as long as the fundamentals cannot be changed, because it's tried, tested, and trusted model, You do the 3 months of this particular area, and then the whole 9 months of, the whole thing of experiential learning. But what we put in there, a young student, after we have quote unquote conscientized them, they can get involved in AI, in farming, whatever, So what I'm just saying is the opportunities here are massive. That is why we wanted just to share that with you. The high school one, because she runs a high school, and you've got people here from GDE, from the Gauteng Department of Education. Here they've got what they call schools of specialization. Talk to us about how can we introduce this AI, because some of them, TVET is too late. We've got some sharp kids in these schools that already can catch up at their own time, so that they can be able to use this as an income for them, as entrepreneurs, whatever. What did you say to that?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. I don't think the program is meant to be exclusive or non-inclusive in other ways. So what I mean by that is that whoever has the capability does not necessarily have to have the formal training. They could enroll and do a program like this. Like we've seen, I've seen engineers, I've seen developers from a very young age developing already code and with very much self-paced, self-learning kind of basis. We don't need to teach them. But I do agree, we do need to have interventions at school levels. We need to be able to start to introduce stuff. So we do things like Minecraft, which is one way of teaching students or youth how to program at a very young age. Those are the kind of tools that you learn to play with, and you learn to. So schools do need to transform. Our education system needs to adapt, and I know they are working towards that with their STEM curriculum and so on. So the more we introduce it in there, it'll become easier when they start to enter programs like this. So today the bridge or the gap may look big for a student coming out of a university or a student coming out of school entering into university. Because remember, even for students coming out of school going into university, the gap is quite big. It's quite a leap for them to take. Now you're taking from them from university into the workplace. It's another big gap that they need to jump to. So yes, so there has to be enough bridging that we need to do at the school level, and we work with schools across the country in introducing technology. I was sharing earlier, we have a program called the Educational Transformational Framework. And what that is really, like we talk about digital transformation, I don't know if you guys hear about that word a lot, digital transformation. And that's typically used in the corporate world, where we talk about digitally transforming companies to be more today's era companies. We have the same programs for education. It's called the Educational Transformation Framework. So education needs to transform at all levels as well, whether it's at faculty level or whether it's at the administration level or even the student level. Putting a smart board in a classroom doesn't mean we transform the school, right? We got to transform the entire process. So yes, so there is a lot of work that we all have to do towards that. And then obviously we'll get the kind of results that we're looking for from students. But taking a student out of school and putting them into, doing medicine as an example, when he's not ready for that kind of skill or that kind of profession, then we're setting it up for failure. That's why we have the assessment programs, or we have the criteria that we use on assessing. So it's the same thing that we're trying to do here. We're not trying to exclude anybody. We're just trying to include as many people that have the capability to do that and enhance that skill. But there are other interventions like the fundamentals, the AI and Microsoft AI fundamentals, for those that are not highly technical or don't want to do this as a profession, but want to understand it and do that. And I like the vision of the CEO of Youth Employment Service, Ravi, where he says that I want every youth that comes through my program to be AI aware. Not because I want them to be AI engineers or anything like that, but I want them to understand how AI is going to impact their work in the future. So when they step into the workplace, they at least understand how to embrace the use of that technology in their environment, as opposed to not being surprised by it when they get into the workplace. So that was kind of a great vision, which is why we partnered with him to develop the content that we did in order to create that awareness. Thank
Awesome. You. 2 more questions. Okay, Baba, it's 1, 2, 3. The 3, then we wrap up. Trevor needs to finish up because the AI in the stomach is saying by 2:30 the food is ready. So we need to respond to it.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am from Sanase. I just want to check with you, sir, to say when the program was designed, did you consider a student that is differently abled, and to which extent? Thank you.
Great. I don't know about the accent so much because obviously it's really depending on how the trainers will relate to the student, if that's the accent part. But so it's not. So a lot of the teaching that we're talking about here, even though the training content is available online for the facilitators to access, but they need to deliver it in person. So that's the kind of classroom training that should be happening right there. But coming back to your other question, I think so there is opportunity, obviously, to expand on when we look at the content and we look at the details around that. And I think so each institution needs to customize that and bring some of the more local stuff into it where it's relevant. Meaning whatever the bridging is needed in that space, they need to be able to bring that. What we bring is the technical content, and we obviously, that is what is the global standard that we work from, and that's what we're able to bring as value to the classroom.
But also from Sanase with Special Olympics, remember, we're together. So we've already talking to Microsoft for people who have intellectual disability or differently able. So, Reshapumo, okay?
Yeah, I mean, just to cover that part, I mean, all of our technology is accessible for disabled people or differently able people. So we have all of that built into our technology. So for instance, somebody that can't hear, we have subtitles across all of our technology today, so you can see that. So yes, we're going to hopefully talk more about that to the Special Olympics team to understand more about what we can be doing in South Africa. But we have built all of that very early on into our technology. By the way, there's almost 1 billion disabled people in the world today. So that's a set of people that we want to ensure that we also serve as Microsoft. So we definitely work hard towards making all of our technology accessible to people. So we need to understand what their disability is and then obviously provide for them in the classroom.
Thank you. 2 more and then we're done. This is Baba Uzulu from Saibono. Go ahead, sir.
so that they can access different, jobs that are available. But I have one question in terms of the NQF levels, because we normally have a challenge with that. We've got a lot of young people working at Saibono, for instance, with quite a variety of programs that they've done through Microsoft, some of them through Cisco, your CNA courses and all that. But in terms of the requirements with most companies, they would want NQF levels. Have you considered as Microsoft to package your programs and align them to NQF so that when these young people finish their programs with Microsoft, at least they know which NQF level they are at, so that when they want to access jobs, they're able to indicate? Because that's the challenge at the moment that we have. Thank you.
I think that's another great question. And it's something that obviously all multinational companies in the IT space has been challenged with. Because of our changing curriculum, it's very hard to keep up with the regulatory and the certification requirements through the NQF process or through the SACWA process. So no, we don't unfortunately do that. So we consider our training as internationally recognized training for corporates out there that work through that. But the way that we meet, the way some of the organizations meet the NQF level is working with our training partners and they bridge some of that training with some of the other softer skills that are required as part of the NQF in order to be able to give the NQF certification across the content, but not necessarily purely on our content. On our content purely, it's basically internationally developed and recognized curriculum, and then you add on that with some of the local content to make it NQF ready, and that's how they achieve that level. But yes, great question, thank you.
Last question, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Mababa from Africa Engineering Transformation. They always say Mujamarawa ke kgosi. Most of the questions that I had, actually they were covered. Number one, or partially covered. Number one was that how does this program cater the private institutions? Because in private institutions, we found ourselves helping the government as well when there are some skills that needs to be covered or skills gaps that needs to be closed. We also come in and cover that, or help the government in that. One thing that I liked about the program is that you are mentioning that it can be blended when looking at the apprentice trainings. Looking at it, it is more even in the automation. I liked what Trevor has presented. It reminded me of the SCADA systems where you can just run your machines sitting at home and. So looking at it, I see a good opportunity, and considering the fact that we've got lots of graduate people who are sitting at home, this is where it can also be, it can come handy to close those gaps. The last comment, or maybe a question, which comes from my doctor here. I think that program is very good, but it was moved to a high level, meaning we are leaving the foundation. Maybe we can still look at that. Thank you very much.
Great. Maybe to answer your second question first is, I don't think so we are skipping the foundation level at all. What we are saying is that this program's entry level is here, and people that are there need to enter into it. But we're not necessarily saying that we're skipping the foundational level. The foundational level should be done by the institutions. They should adopt that. We have the curriculum available, and we make that available to the institutions. And they need to be able to ingrain it into their curriculum as they go through. So we have that available. It's called Future Ready Skills from Microsoft, and they go across their different faculties, and they will incorporate, like for instance, cloud technologies, or AI, or Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. If a student who's in any sort of IT, any sort of faculty today doesn't understand how the cloud operates, then that person has a problem, right? Because when they walk out of the workplace, they'll step, or walk out of university and step into the workplace, they're going to encounter all of these kind of technologies in their workplace. Now, if the university or the TVETs are not incorporating that curriculum already into their programs, then you have a problem. It's like when you're running an architecture course at university, and you don't teach them CAD and CAM technologies, or AutoCAD as a tool, and they walk into the workplace and they don't understand what AutoCAD is. It's the same thing. So today, those fundamentals have to be taught, right? And then people will decide after that whether they want to specialize further into stuff. And this would be that type of program. Now, the reason we said that we wanted to specialize this specific one, because there's such a demand for those skills. So that's the point that David was making as well, is that, you know, we got to meet the demand. We can't go teach somebody something else when the demand for this thing is here, which is why we think that, and we ourselves cannot develop and train as many AI engineers as is needed in the industry for not just today, but for tomorrow. So which is why we bring a big room of people together to say that this is the demand and more. So whatever engineers you can deliver and output, there's more that's needed than that, believe me. So we got to collectively try and address this opportunity that we have today. And I think so everybody has the opportunity here today to basically stand up and say, we'll put a course together and develop it. That's the kind of demand that we're talking about at the end of the day. So yes, so the fundamentals has to be there. We have to ingrain that into everything we do, like we have all other technologies in the past, but continue to specialize as well in areas because there will always be a need for these type of skills. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our brother Asif. Let's give him a wonderful round of applause. What time is it, guys? Trevor, I'm going to give you short time because on the second part, so that question and answer, because I like us to spend more time, fellowship, swallowship, all the ships in there, you know, and then we can take it from here. What time do you have now? 20. Can I give you 30 minutes? And then afterwards, question and answer, and then we'll then talk about tomorrow. So at least by 2:05, trust me, guys, it's a lot of food. And then also in the lot of food, there's also takeaways, you know, that we can take away. Something. So that way you are able to see Saibono, and then Ntate Matlori on the other side. And Prof, is Prof here? Prof Clinton. Is Prof Clinton here? From VETS? Prof, okay, tomorrow I'll talk about that. And Worskol, I see you guys from Silverton. Sharp. My brother, again, here are your people. Do the part 2, my friend.
I like that. I like that my people part. I left my mouse. Before I begin again, just a quick story. I left the military in 1991. I was one of those unfortunate enough to be conscripted into the military. Back then, it was go to the military or go to jail. And this pretty face wouldn't make it in jail. So I went to the military. When I left the military, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any skills other than what they teach you in the military. And generally speaking, there's no skill required for killing people. So didn't have anything to do. And I decided that I would find myself work. I started working in an attorney's firm. I was lucky enough that the attorney's firm paid for my studies. And I started studying law, and I hated it. Every minute I spent studying law, I hated. Fortunately, at the attorney where I was working, they were in the process of digitizing their documents, sessions, pledges, bonds, to make it searchable, because paper-based documents are not particularly searchable. And I was fortunate that I could be involved in that. And that's where I got exposed to technology. And I am where I am today because of the learning that was made available through Microsoft. All right. So I am certified in a number of Microsoft technologies. As the years have gone by, I've tried my best to stay current and stay up to date with technology. I have a number of industry certifications, amongst them, and chief amongst them being Microsoft technology. So if I had the opportunity, when I was younger, to attend a program like that, you could be sure, I nearly said damn, but I shouldn't swear, you could be sure that that is a program that I would have attended. All right. So maybe that's the third time I cry, is when I stand up and sing the national anthem, when I go to work on Mondays, and when I think about what Microsoft and the opportunities Microsoft has given me. So I'm just a big crybaby, it seems. All right. So just before we went on our break, we were talking a little bit about artificial intelligence and, you know, try to get some ideas about what artificial intelligence was. And in particular, I think I mentioned something called big data and how artificial intelligence would not be able to exist without the idea of big data. And not only the idea of big data, the practicality of big data. And when we were having our snacks, I was watching one of the videos that was playing over here. And one of the videos that was playing was really pertinent because it was the agriculture video. Right, and the collection of data from an agriculture perspective and using artificial intelligence to analyze this and drive decision making. So what we have to realize is that right now, artificial intelligence is the tool that we use, right? And we still drive it. We still make the decisions. And we should use it appropriately. Okay, so now I quickly want to talk about a couple of subjects. I don't have too long. But a couple of subjects that I want to touch on is machine learning, right? And because I don't have so long, machine learning is the idea of a machine teaching itself. Is that right? Is the idea of a machine teaching itself? No, that sounds a bit funny, but let me show you a slide that I struggled with. I looked at what a machine would need to learn, right? And I thought to myself, well, that's very close to what I would need to learn. So the first thing that I would need to have is I need to have data. All right. So the idea for data for me is anything. I mean, we think about data, and we often just think about structured data in the form of a database. But that's a small part of the totality of data that is available out there. How much data is in an unstructured format? Go to visit any website, that's typically unstructured data. Go and open up any book, that's unstructured data. What do we do with that unstructured data? How do we learn from that unstructured data? Well, at the end of the day, what I need to be able to learn is I need access to data. Whether it's structured or unstructured is not that important, right? Then what I need to do is I need to actually go through the data. I need to train myself. Isn't that right? And that's how part of my career started. I trained myself mostly. I trained myself with material that was made available by Microsoft, through friends, by Microsoft. And if there's a will, there's a way, they say. And I started learning more about technology and more about technology until eventually I got consumed by technology. So not only do we need access to the data, but we also have to be trained on that data and trained on how to utilize that data. Now, if you ask me a question, let's say you were to ask me a question about I don't know, JSON templates and how JSON templates are used to create services in Microsoft Azure. I can give you the answer, okay? And the reason I can give you the answer is because I was trained. I was trained to give you the answer. And that's machine learning in a nutshell. Machine learning is about large volumes of data being fed into some type of algorithm that we train. We train this algorithm to recognize things that we want it to recognize. And then in future, if we ask it a question or we present it with a statement, the machine learning algorithm, the model that we created, has the ability to answer that particular question. And that's machine learning. All right. I think the only difference with machine learning and the way that I learn is that there are 3 different categories of machine learning. Maybe we can talk about some more categories, but for me, I like the idea of 3 categories. We refer to them as supervised learning, obviously unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning. All right. So for me, I started off by looking at supervised learning. And what you have over there is you have some data, whatever that data is. Our data just happens to be in the form of images. And as you can see, well, I hope you can see that that data, there's an apple, there's a pear, there's a banana, and then there's a whole pile of apples, pears, and bananas all put together. This is the data that we start off. Now, the idea behind supervised learning is that we supervise the learning, right? So I don't just go out there and learn about everything that I could possibly learn about. What I want to teach here, and what I want my machine learning algorithm to learn, is the difference between an apple, a pear, and a banana. So that if I ask it a question in the future, is this a banana? It has the ability to say, yes, it is, or no, it does. It's not a banana. Now, for us to do that, we have to label the data that we're going to work with. Right. So in our case, we're going to teach our machine learning algorithm to recognize something as a banana by telling it this is what a banana looks like. Right. We don't have pink bananas, right? Well, I'm talking about bananas, the ones that you eat. You don't have pink bananas, right? So that's the idea over there. And this is what we do. We feed this data into our model because we want to train our model to be able to recognize bananas or pears and apples in this case. And then what we end up with is we end up with a model that we can deploy. And by presenting it with an apple, a pear, or a banana, it has the ability to tell me whether it is one or not. Right. And that essentially is machine learning. There are a number of different applications of machine learning, of course. From a practical perspective, you could use machine learning with security. Well, security is a good idea. We're all aware of thumbprint scanners, biometric scanners. We can have a machine learning algorithm learn about the characteristics of thumbprints and retinal scans. That way, when I present it with a retinal scan, it knows it's a human retinal scan, and for example, not a cow's retinal scan. All right, so that might be one example of machine learning and supervised learning. We can go ahead and we can categorize machine learning into a number of different categories, but we can also go ahead and take something like supervised learning and categorize that if we wanted to categorize it. And the two main categories that we generally have with machine learning is classification, right? The example of fingerprints and retinal scans and perhaps apples and pears. That is a classification problem. And the other type of problem that we would have is a regression problem. So a regression problem for me would be something like, I want a machine learning algorithm to be able to tell me whether I should order more toilet paper or not. Remember during that COVID period where everybody was, I want a machine learning algorithm to be able to not tell me that it is toilet paper, but how much toilet paper I'm going to need. How much inventory do I have to keep, as an example. Right, so that was the idea of supervised learning. And then we have this idea of unsupervised learning. The two of them are quite easy to relate to each other. They're quite easy to relate. Unsupervised learning is where we don't present our algorithm with labels. Okay, so basically what happens is we present our algorithm with the data. And we let the model, shall we say, the model will train itself about the characteristics of the data that we presented it. All right. So in this case, it's not going to know what an apple and a pear is, and it's not going to be able to tell you that it's a banana, but what it will be able to output is something that looks like that. Because it effectively teaches itself to recognize the attributes of things that look like each other, that belong together, and that will be the output that I would expect to get. All right. So now in future, if I were to present it with a banana, it would be able to take the banana and categorize it as one of those funny shaped yellow things that you see over there. All right. So that's the idea of unsupervised learning. Now, here we get to my favorite type of learning, and this is referred to as reinforcement learning. And this is one of my favorite types of learning because maybe I didn't tell you, but maybe I did. I can't always remember everything. But I think I said earlier that I try to stay fit and healthy, and I'm a martial artist, or I like to think that I'm a martial artist. I have a couple of black belts in different styles of karate and so on. And one of my favorite things to do is to work with children. As a matter of fact, one day when I retire back to where I come from, I'm from Cape Town, by the way. I'm from the Cape Flats, as a matter of fact. When I go back to the Cape Flats, when I retire one day, there's the sports center in Ottery, where I'm from. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach karate to all the kids in Ottery for free. Ottery, Grassy Park, Lotus River, Lavender Hill, that area over there. That's always been my dream. So I love working with the kids. And reinforcement learning is one of the ways that kids get to learn, right? We put them in an environment. We allow them to perform actions. And when they perform an action that's according to the way that I would like the action to be performed, I show them some type of signal, or I give them some type of reward. And when they perform an action in that environment that I don't wish them to perform, I give them some kind of other response. Usually, in the old days, it would have been a flat hand, but in the modern world, I'll just give them a stern talking to. All right. So that's the kind of reinforcement learning that I'm familiar with. And that reinforcement learning is part of machine learning as well. So rather than going ahead and labeling data and trying to force the machine learning algorithm to do things in a certain way, we deploy the agent, the machine learning agent. We deploy it into some type of environment. In this case, it might be something like a maze. The machine learning algorithm then learns its way around the maze. And when it does what we want it to do, we give it a signal. We don't pat it on the head or tell it it's a good boy, but we give it some type of signal. And when it performs a task that we don't want it to perform, we give it a different type of signal until right at the end of the day, what we get is we get an algorithm that has taught itself how to navigate the environment that we put it in. Right? But we're still in control because we decide on the signals that we provide. Right? So I have here a little slide which I wanted to, well, that was the end of my machine learning. And I wanted to talk a little bit about deep learning. And I think the best way to describe deep learning is to not show you a slide, right? But rather to try and draw a diagram, right? And for this, I'm going to use one of Microsoft's best tools that they've developed in many, many years, right? So all I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to duplicate my desktop. And I think that'll do the trick, all right? And the tool that I'm referring to is MS Paint, all right? So I've been using MS Paint now for many years. I think you'll see it as I use it. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is trying to replicate the human brain, all right? So it's trying to simulate the human brain. Not what the human brain does, but actually simulate the human brain and the central nervous system. So to understand that, you need to understand a little bit about neurons and how neurons work. Right? So imagine a neuron as a light, right? And imagine a room full of lights. And imagine that at some point in time, some of these lights are going to go on and some of these lights are going to go off. Now imagine another room, also with lights. And as the lights in one room go on or off, they influence the lights in another room. That will also go on or off. So think of this as all being networked together. So these individual light bulbs are all actually interconnected. So as a light glows in one room, a light may glow in another room. Right? And imagine that these lights are signals. They're yes or no signals. They're do it or don't do it signals. Right? In other words, they're Boolean signals, if you wanted to talk about Boolean values. Right? Now, imagine that we can, instead of just turning lights on and off, what we can do is we can give them degrees in between on and off. So it's on, very bright, not so bright, less bright, and dull, and off. Imagine that. So imagine on a scale of 0 to 1. And we can then have, let's make it 10 decimals between 0 and 1. So you'll have 0, 0.1, 0. Blah, 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 all the way to 1. All right. Now imagine that as these lights glow with their 1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, they affect the glowing of other lights in other rooms as well. All right. That is the idea of a neural network. All right. Now, how do we take that idea of these different lights glowing and these different neurons firing, and how do we translate that into learning, into artificial intelligence? Okay, so what I came up with requires me to have access to Excel, right? And there I have Excel. And I must admit that I'm not the world's Excel guru, so please excuse me while I fiddle my way around in Excel. But what I want to do is I want to go all the way there, and that should give me about 28 different cells. All right, up to Z is 26, and then 2 more should be 28. And what I'm going to do in Excel is I'm just going to change this column width quickly to 2,3, and it'll look something like that. All right, so now what I have is I have columns and I have rows. I have 28 columns that I'm interested in at the column level, and I have 28 rows that I'm interested in. All right, so what we'll do is we'll grab those 28 columns and rows with Microsoft's second best tool called the snipping tool. And what we're going to do over here is I'm going to grab hold of, it's not the tool, it's the fool wielding it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 28 over there, and we're going to grab our 28 over there. And what we'll do is we'll paste that into Excel. All right. So what I want to do is I want to create a program using artificial intelligence that has the ability to recognize characters. Okay, whether it's an A, a B, or doesn't matter to me right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it to read numbers. All right. Now, if you think about this as being a collection of pixels on a screen. Okay, 28 by 28 pixels on a screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a number on those pixels. And we're going to teach our deep learning algorithm, we're going to teach it to recognize numbers. Recognize the difference between a 0 and an 8 and a 6 and a 9. Because if you think about it, they look very similar, right? They all have little bellies. Okay. Some bigger than others, but they're still there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a number, we're going to put that number on our screen, and we're going to look at how deep learning would recognize this number. All right. It's going to require me to do a little bit of thinking and a little bit of typing. So please excuse me if I stop talking for a period of time while I try my best to sort this out for us. Usually I can continue speaking without too much difficulty. So I'm just going to take that and make it bold, and then we've got text. And then what we'll do is we'll put in the number 8, and we should be able to change that to a much larger number if we like. And that's still not good enough. And then what we'll do is we'll grab hold of that number. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm sitting down. So we'll grab hold of that number, we'll make it a little bigger, and then we have, let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and there we have an 8. And let's face it, the way that you draw an 8, the way that I draw an 8 is probably not the same way. And we want our machine learning algorithm to recognize an 8 whether you did it or I did it. It doesn't matter whether we're using Calibri, Times New Roman, whatever font it is you choose. We want to be able to recognize a number as a number and the correct number. All right. Happy so far? No problem with that? Okay, now how do we do that? We simulate brain activity. That's really what deep learning does. It simulates brain activity. We simulate neurons. Okay, now if you think about these pixels that I have over there, can we agree that some of them are on and some of them are off? Some of them are colored and some of them aren't. Can we also agree that some of them are colored more dark than others? Yeah, you can see here on the outer edges, perhaps you can see on the outer edges, they're a little bit more gray than they are black. Right, I think everything should be gray. So what we're going to do, let's simulate neural activity. And for the sake of understanding, I'm going to take that first line over there. I'm going to leave the number there. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it onto its side. All right. That's our first set of input data. Right. Can we agree that that input data is either all on or off? Okay. Let's say they're off because they're not colored, and we'll say they're on when they're colored. And based on the degree of blackness, we'll say they're more on and more off. Okay. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that for line number 2. Line number 2 also gets to be input data. And if you ask me, Trevor, why does line number 2 get to be input data? Because it's entirely possible that somebody on this screen decided to draw the 8 at the top rather than in the middle, or decided to draw it further to the left than the right. Right? And we still want to be able to recognize it not only as a number, but we want to be able to recognize it as number 8. All right. So what we'll do now is now we're getting to the nitty-gritty, because on line number 3, we can start seeing that there is some pixelation. All right. So now not only do we have some off, but we also have some on. Now you might be asking, Trevor, why are you drawing this on its side? Well, that's just to make it easier for me to explain the idea behind machine learning or deep learning. And by the way, deep learning is a form of machine learning. The two are not separate from each other. All right. And both machine learning and deep learning are forms of artificial intelligence. Does that make a little bit of sense? Other forms of artificial intelligence include things like natural language processing. You might have heard about that. I had the opportunity to go to Portugal a while back, and for some reason everybody in Portugal speaks Portuguese to me. Go figure, right? And when you go to a restaurant, guess what? There's nothing English anywhere, especially in a small town. It's all Portuguese. Well, I don't speak Portuguese, but what I do have, oops, on the floor, is I have my trusty iPhone. And guess what my trusty iPhone can do? It can translate not only text to text, but text to speech, and speech to text, and speech to speech. Well, how amazing is that? Natural language. All right. So what we want to do over here is, now that we've identified that there are a number of, let's call them, number of layers of, number of data points in this layer, and we call this our data layer. What we're now going to do is we're going to look at what we want to get on the other end. What is it we want to get on the other end? We want to get a numerical value on the other end. I want to know, is it a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, or an 8? Right? Whatever the number might be. Now, this is something that's quite easy, because if I remember correctly, there are, generally speaking, only 10 of those values that I want to work with. So I'm going to grab hold of that, and I'm going to put that on the other side, and this will represent the result that I expect. Okay. So remember, for us, it's about recognizing a set of characters and being able to get some type of confirmation that that is indeed the character that we input into our system. So the first column we call our input data. Now, of course, I'm not complete with the input data, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do this for each of those lines. Right, like that. And we'll continue along by putting in all this data. Now we need a brain. We need a brain to be able to go look at the input data, analyze the input data, and kind of give me an idea if that is a number or not. Right. So we add to our machine or our deep learning model. And what we add to our deep learning model are more neurons. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll add another layer over here. And this layer, we'll simply think of this layer as a hidden layer. This is not a layer that we see, but it's a layer that we need to be able to do processing. Okay, now, all of these neurons are interconnected. So what you'll see over here is if I take this neuron, it's connected to that neuron there. If I take that neuron again, it's connected to that neuron as well. It's connected to that neuron, and it's connected to all the neurons that you see on the hidden layer or the processing layer. That way, based on the color and the intensity of the neuron in the data layer, we will determine whether the neuron in the hidden layer fires or does not fire. Just like the brain, just like the neuron in the brain. Except in this case, these are not neurons in the brain, these are nodes in a computer system. Right, so think of them as nodes in a network. If you wanted to, you could think of them as CPUs in a motherboard, if you're that way inclined. All right. Now, not only does it look like that, but what also happens is that second neuron you see over there on the input layer, that's connected to each of the other neurons as well. So not only do we take into account whether one neuron is firing, we take into account whether multitudes of neurons are firing, because what fires in the data layer will then determine what fires in the hidden layer. Are you bored already? No. Oh, okay. Only 5 minutes. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to quickly go ahead and we have to take more layers, all right, because depending on what our result is going to need to look like, we need to filter out the neurons that fired in the second layer as well. Remember, that second layer is a hidden layer. So we might decide that we'll do something like this. All right. And then those neurons over there, they are in turn connected to each of those layers in the hidden layer. Okay, so now we have two hidden layers that look something like that. All right. And something like that. So based on what happens in the data layer, we fire what's in the second layer, our hidden layer, and based on what happens in that hidden layer, we fire what happens in the third layer. All right, so lights affecting other lights, affecting other lights. All right, and then what we get is we get this layer connected to our output layer, like that. All right, and each of the neurons in that hidden layer that we have is connected to each of those neurons in the output layer. Why is that important? Because now If we find that in the second hidden layer, or the third layer you see over there, if we find neurons firing, it will notify us as an output. And what does that output look like? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or that's it. All right. Now, of course, we don't exactly know what the result is going to look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to let the machine learning algorithm randomly initiate a weighting system on each of these lines you see. So a weighting system is used as part of the calculation as to whether a neuron should fire or not. Right? We don't just want, if a neuron is on here, it must be on in the second layer. We don't want that, because that's not going to give us any kind of result. So we have a weighting system. So if a neuron fires in the first layer, we'll add the weight, and based on that weight, we'll determine if a neuron has to fire in the second layer, and the third layer, and so on. All right. Now, when we feed it our initial characters, do you think it's going to output the right result? Do you think it's going to be able to tell us it's a 0, or 1, or 2, or 3? No, it's not. Okay, we're going to have to tell it that it was right or wrong. And part of us training the model is telling it whether it was right or wrong. And what it will do is when we tell it it was right, it's going to adjust the weighting system on the lines that connect the neurons. Right? And the result is the ability to recognize numbers. How amazing is that? Believe it or not, that's how your brain operates as well. Okay? And that is the simplest explanation I could come up with for a neural network. Now, interestingly enough, my wife is an accountant. She's a CFO, but she has like 10 accounting degrees and a psychology degree and those types of things. So she's an accountant, and I bounced this idea off of her. The presentation that we're doing here, I bounced this idea off of her, and she got artificial intelligence. All right. And if she can get artificial intelligence, trust me, you can get artificial intelligence. Because even though my wife is very well educated, she's not very bright. Oh, shucks. I think I told my phone to phone her when it dropped, so she might have heard. No, my wife's super smart, guys. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I think that's as much time as I have. I would love to talk to you some more. And some of you did talk to me. Maybe you didn't get the answer that you wanted, but you did get to talk to me, and I asked you some questions and gave you my opinion. All right. So please feel free to come and have a conversation with me. Okay, I'm being chased away.
No. Say, come closer here.
That's my brother.
Let's give Brother Trevor a wonderful round of applause. I know your presentation was like a mini skirt. Short enough
but sweet
to cover the essentials, but long enough to be interesting. Seriously, some of us, we don't know whether we have got neurons, we are becoming morons, we're just, But thanks so much for that enthusiasm. It's very rare to find a man making technology, and I'm watching people here. Obviously because of time, but again, I'm a businessman. From here, you're going to be talking to people. We're going to network. In Afrikaans, netwerk. Just find the cap up. We're going to network and see what we can do there. So I spoke to your CEO, spoke to Deirdre. We're definitely going to, take it from there. Again, let's give it up for my brother. Before we wrap up, please, ladies and gentlemen, Arnold, if you can put us that code. We need your name, surname, and an email. And then you're going to be getting a certificate of attendance, on your AI, just awareness attendance. That's number one. Number two, my team, Spoo, all the people who ask questions, they'll either get a cap from Net Campus today, or a katoiki, or a t-shirt. Only those that asked what? Eesh. No problem. Dr. Mvume, come up here, please. Matori, where's Matori? Matori, come up here, please. Where's Matori? Yeah. Just come up here. Oh, is that? Ace. Come on, Brother Ace. Let's give him a wonderful now. Let's give it up for my brother. Brother Ace Makachule. Shama, brother. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, okay. Super. It's your katoiki there. Folks, please, again, Arnold, where is that? They must make sure before you leave today, Even those online, please give us your name, full name, so that Deirdre, plus minus when by next week, we'll have the certificate with an ICANN 4IR mic, just to acknowledge. Some of you, I don't know what you say in the workplace, so this is proof of evidence that you are here. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to talk now about the skills side, the life side. Smoo will be our program director, Smoo right there, sharp young man. We need to develop the next generation of leaders. Tomorrow I'll be speaking about 18 qualities of an effective leader. Because a good leader tells, a great leader explains, but an effective leader demonstrates. And you need 18 qualities to be an effective leader as we now focus on 2030 and beyond. So I'll be dealing with that. And then immediately thereafter, we'll have Heineken. Can we say Heineken? People like Ntatele Kau from Capricorn TVET College, a lot of other TVET colleges, we are working with them on this binge drinking. A lot of our young people, but we are finding out, is TUT here? Is TUT in the house? TUT, these are the SRC. Give it up for TUT. So TVET colleges, university, they go through our program. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what else is happening, and then drug abuse, Dr. Abna Mariri on drugs. But now we are finding out our SRC are saying, no, Chief, don't only spend time with us. These educators themselves, they need this program. That is why tomorrow we've got a psychologist from ICANN 4IR. Dr. Mvume, tomorrow, what will you be focusing on tomorrow?
Good afternoon, everyone. Tomorrow I'll be focusing on mental health issues that work hand in hand with why we exist, why we are doing what we are doing, and why we are not doing what we're supposed to do. And we are going to link it up and see what is it that is stressing you more, what is it that is depressing you more, and what is it that makes you not to move forward as you are supposed to. And other people sitting here, they would cut their wrists and do other things, and they will not focus on their studies, on their work programs, and they will end up others, killing themselves for no reason. So we are going to look at that and pair it with what artificial intelligence is all about, and see how we can move ourselves forward to make sure that everything that we are, who we are, what we are doing is blessed, and we go and become more of what we are.
Wonderful. It's really about self-care, because you can have all this artificial intelligence, African intelligence, but at the end of the day, we need to take care of ourselves. Because we need to leave a legacy, be a blessing to ourselves, to our family, to our country, whatever. Thanks so much for tomorrow. Chief, when the people leave here, we've got a sumptuous lunch. Where are you going to be based? Because people have already come to me. They want to talk to you, how you can get out of debt. Some of them, as we speak here, the Mashonis have already called them while we're here, So where are you going to be from here?
Yeah, just when you step out, there is a backdrop banner with our table and flyers and a lot of things.
And some of them can call you privately, because the financial matters are matters of, they'll talk to you, then what's going to happen there?
Yeah, they can fill up a questionnaire form and indicate which area of our services they want engagement or clarity on, and then we can take it further from there. And also the managers and CEOs, as I've mentioned earlier, that would like to partner with them and come to their organizations and do consumer education and financial literacy, because production is always going down in the workplace. People are always asking for leave. They're exhausting leave days. It doesn't, as an employer, I know it doesn't work for me for always people filing for leave, because those days that they're taking leave, we're supposed to be making money. So it's because they are busy handling issues of debt, going, borrowing to pay this one and all that. So we are going to solve those things with them.
Also, you are on WhatsApp, you are on television. What's the YouTube channel, or where can they check you out?
Yeah, the Helping Hand Financial Wellness. We are on all social media, and then they can scan the QR code on our banner there. It takes them straight to our website.
Thanks so much, Tate Maklori. And then Babu Zulu, please come up here, Baba, with your Saibono. We've got some wonderful young men, next door. So what will people see there?
Good afternoon again, everyone. from Saibono. Those who haven't visited us, maybe let me just give them some kind of a brief as far as Saibono. Saibono is derived from, Sai is derived from science, and then Bono is a vendor name, which means those who are vendors, they know exactly what I'm referring to, which means a vision. So it's a science vision of science, right? Because at Saibono, we are actually a science center, registered as a non-profit company. As I indicated earlier on, we were established through GDE as a strategic partner. We are having more than 300 science exhibits there. We are empowering youth, we are empowering learners that are still at school. We have moved to the digital space. We are now having a smart classroom, just to showcase what do we mean by artificial intelligence. You'll experience the VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, you name them. We're having a 4IR exhibit. So next door, we have just decided to put very few science exhibits, including robots. Those robots are coded by young people at Saibono. I see. Can you stand up, my brother? That's one of the colleagues from Saibono. These are the guys who are doing actual coding and robotics. That's the skill we have. Not manga, no. So you go to Saibono, you experience all those kind of things. We have drones, they're having a drone outside there. I don't know whether they will fly it today, but we are talking about pilots. There is another one there. Can you stand up, Edwin? So we have young people that are into AI. We have a robot dog. Come and see what we have. And thank you very much, Doc, for partnering with us. We always appreciate you. So next door, I'm having some few science exhibits that we have. Thank you.
No, let's finish it up here. As I Can for IR, we've partnered with Saibono. We're actually raising money for them because we need to reach thousands and thousands. Just to give them an idea, how many thousands of young people do you reach at Saibono?
Hey, I'm happy the DDGs are here. We have our DDGs from GDE. In March alone, because we are also in terms of helping them enhance their performance in schools. And I must say we're proud DDGs to be funded by GDE, Doc, also. With grade 10, 11 alone, this past March, we had 289,000 young people, learners. We have 95,000 matriculants that we are helping. When we run camps across the province, it's run through Saibono. So we're contributing a lot in ensuring that at least where there are gaps, we also assist GDE. Remember, we are a community benefit organization. We can, if you fund us, of course through 4IR, and then you get your tithe. Ne? So we can give you a Section 18A certificate. You can go back to SARS and claim some tax rebates there. So yeah, that's who we are.
To push that, because Asif is here and Net Campus is there, some of that extra money as they make profit, I'm going to go for them. The money doesn't come to me, it goes directly to Saibono to continue. Talk is cheap. Most of you know us, we don't talk, we get work, we get busy. So, Siyabonga Baba. Professor Clinton again, is he here before I close? Going. Tomorrow our closing speaker is the CEO of Gautrain Management Agency, Ntate Tsepo, will be here. And we plan tomorrow to finish by 1:30. So please guys, we're gonna start on time. 1:30 sharp, we need to be done. Did you have a great day today? Are you sure? Lovely. A smooth, thanks so very much. You'll pick it up tomorrow. So guys, I've already prayed in our house. You only buy grocery once a month. You do one prayer. It covers it covers everything. So Ibabun Kabine can be a bishop to come and close for us in prayer, please, Baba. We open in Kosi Sigalela, want to close in prayer. This is our bishop, wonderful man who is doing awesome work in communities, empowering the young generation. We need to honor them when they're still alive. Is that right? Sharp, Khulman. So please pray for us, plus pray AI level. Ne? Yeah, don't pray for those in the hospital and no. AI, supervised learning. I'm learning, Trevor. Come on, man. I'm impressing you, Yes. But on a serious note, Baba, thanks so much. And you can see what's happening. My heart is the faith-based organization. And we cannot, as a faith-based organization, sit down. Here are people like Microsoft, Net Campuses, Gautrain. We need to take it from there, Baba. Our young people are involved in drugs, whatever. So here's a solution. So we thank God for that. But pray for us immediately after praying. Folks, there's so much food, I promise you. And then still, we'll show you a section. That section, you can take this thing away with you. Is that okay? The team will show you that, and I'll be around. Pray for us, Baba.
Thank you.
And also for those online, but not online here, okay?
Can we stand up, please? Let's do a static ovation for our God. He is a most high God. Father God, we thank you. You said in your beautiful book, Psalms 127, those who want to build their house, if they build it without you, they just build it in vain. Here is it. Here is the occasion. Here is the service, Father. We thank you, Ogoti, you were here. As we are doing our part for now, Father, safeguard everyone. Let us come tomorrow, Father. This is so energetic because you are a God of energy. Father, as I'm praying to you, please, I ask you, those who are lazy, let them not get food. Those who are, those, my Father, who are lazy, let those who have not giving them anything so that they can wake up. I'm praying for the churches, all the churches, Father. Let them getting up and be wise and do something because you said, Father, you gave us dominion. Let us dominate in this planet called Earth because it is our heaven. Father, we thank you also for the food. Please bless those hands and those coffers who made us to eat. Father, I thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm sorry, I was just speaking with my father. Why do you laugh? He's my father. We used to talk with him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much to those guys online, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in person. Breakfast will be served as usual. By 1:30 to be there. Until tomorrow, God bless. Thank you.